Today we're having a look at the TOEFL listening question types, all 8 types of questions that you can receive in the TOEFL. You get the conversations, you get the lectures. In the lecture, there are 6 questions. In the conversations, there are 5. Remember, they are all multiple choice, so that can be a little bit easier. However, it is good to understand the types of questions, which is what we'll have a look at now. Starting off with the first type of question, detailed questions. These are kind of the most straightforward types of questions you can get, right? They're talking about all of the minor details, and it can be very difficult, not because the question is hard to understand, it's just on a small detail that perhaps you didn't take note of. So that can be extremely difficult to remember all of these minor details that you probably didn't write down in your notes because you thought they were insignificant. So with these detailed questions, it's good to practice them often. You get more used to the idea and know which type of details they are more likely to ask. You improve your memory, and over time, you just learn to write less details because there's so much. Write less and just overhear it. Try to find the connecting pieces, and that can definitely help. Here is an example question of a detailed. Why does the professor mention that coral reefs support more than 400 species of fish? And you have your 4 options. And if you didn't hear it, if you didn't take note, and if you don't remember, I mean, good luck, just guess. And if you do know they were speaking about the Southern Ocean, then you can at least narrow down your options to C and D, or in this case, 3 and 4. And next, we have inference questions, which are very common, but they are easy to spot. You can spot these type of questions by just looking at what this question says. Often they will have the word imply or inferred, and they're asking you about the understanding. Whenever I read this question, if we have a look at the example question, it says, what does the professor imply about the experience of mimicking the immigration of the zooplankton? I always think about the understanding behind it, not the literal statement or literally what they've said, but what are they indirectly saying? So it's good to understand the underlining, the subtle meaning behind what was literally said. So the professor, he mentioned experience of mimicking the migration of zooplankton. Did he say that just for explaining or providing an example? Or did he say that to kind of illustrate a different process? Did he say that to explain the difficulties or how efficient it is? Why did he say that? The understanding behind it. So that definitely helps. Number 3 is a easy type of question, just an attitude question. This one's easy because I think naturally humans, we always take note of each other's attitudes. If someone is saying something, but they say it in a way that is just showing that they don't like the situation, or they're uncomfortable, or they're awkward, or they're really excited for something, you can tell how their attitude genuinely is. So these attitude questions for me, I don't really take note of. I try to just mentally take a note of how they're feeling. If they mention something and the student sounds super excited, then I will definitely remember that. But having a look at the question type, here, what is the student's attitude towards the jazz group? I mean, does she fear it? Does she feel they might have deceived her? So that's more of a negative emotion. She wants to work together on the project. She likes how resolved their acoustical and sound issue. So it's good to have a look and just take note of how the student or how the person in the lecture feels. Next is function question types. These functions, they won't ask you what the listening means, like how we have the other types of questions, but they're asking you why. Why does the speaker say what it is that they're saying? So if we think back to question 2, the inference questions, here we need to understand the indirect meaning. But by number 4, the function, we need to understand the motive behind the professor. Why did the professor say what it is that they said? Is it to suggest something to the students? Is it to speculate about a certain theory? So function is asking you more why the professor said it, the motive behind it. Why is it relevant? Looking at the question type, why does the professor say this? Very simple, very straightforward, and easy to notice. To suggest that the citizens of the United States haven't changed much over time. To motivate students. So the first option is to suggest, the second one is to motivate, the last one says to provide background, so, background information, to point out why an essay has lost uh, evidence or relevance. So, why is the professor saying what it is that they're saying? Next, number 5 and also number 6 are both around gist. So we have the gist content question and we have the gist purpose question. Now, what does gist mean? Kind of means the overall. If you don't really understand a movie and you can't explain it exactly, but you understand the gist of it. You understand that, okay, someone got into trouble and this group of people are trying to resolve it or help them escape. You roughly know the main story, but you don't know the details. You don't know the relationships. You don't know exactly how they got here, right? Just the overall meaning, right? Like a summary main topic. So with just content, that is more focusing on the content, the ideas and the topics. So the overall main meaning of the topics. Having a look at the question type, what are the main things about that specific topic? Nightcap oak. So I need to know what the main things are about that topic. If we have a look at just purpose, it's no longer about what the main topic is, but it's more about why, the purpose behind it. Why did the student go to see the librarian? So that is more on why the overall situation happened. And number 5, just content, is what about the overall situation. Definitely pay attention to those two questions, but they are just the overall. And it's very common to see this type of questions. Number 7, the second last one, connecting content questions. So this is all about showing understanding about certain relationships within the listening. You are generally provided with the table and you have a few options in the rows and a few of the columns according to the categories. If we have a look here at the question type, we have 4 rows and then 2 columns, and we just need to categorize it if it's yes or no according to the question. And this is all about just categorizing and just understanding the relationship between a few different options. So make sure you understand how certain details and how certain things are connected within the lecture. And the last question, number 8, is organization questions. This is something where you can't really take notes on specifically, but from your notes, you can see from a rough, far away, widened point of view what the whole lecture is about. So here is from about organization, how the whole lecture is organized. And of course, you can only know that once the lecture is complete. And if you look at your notes or if you were listening, how the lecturer kind of presented all of the information. Did they mention first problems, then solutions? All of the points that they mentioned, what was mentioned first, what was mentioned last, how is it all connected together, what's the main theme or the purpose of the lecture? It's important to think about how they organized it. Did they first get opinions from the students and then present the solution, right? So it's important to think of the whole lecture altogether. Having a look at the question, you can easily see how does the professor organize his lecture on blue jeans. So we would only be able to notice this if we are looking at the whole lecture from afar. If you're focusing on every small little detail, you will not be able to understand the whole thing all together. So, the first option, in a sequence to explain various methods. Second one, through introducing an abstract category. Number three, by creating a question and answer format. Number four, with explaining the development of different kinds of pans and their impact. So you can see each one is organized differently. It might be the same information. All of it might be information that the professor did talk about, but are these the most relevant points? Are these in the right categories, in the right order? So definitely take note of how the whole lecture is organized. And a good way to view this is, at the beginning, it might be hard to remember how to remember all 8 of these different types of questions. But through practice, you will learn when you're listening to the audio, you'll know what information to take down. You will know when you're listening to a lecture, you'll know, okay, they might ask me about the organization. So I need to be aware of that. Oh, they might ask me about um, what the theme of the whole lecture was, or why the professor said the specific point. And you get an understanding of what is important information and what is not important information. Because even though these questions themselves are different, the type of question, they will always ask you organization questions, or just purpose, or function questions, or detailed questions. These are very common types of questions, so you know what to expect and what kind of information might be relevant. And that can only be done through practice, knowing the type of questions, focusing on how to analyze and structure these sort of answers. So through practice, you will get better at it. Just knowing the information is one thing, but getting used to and applying the information is another. So I hope that helps. I'll leave a link for the information down below. Make sure to follow for more information on TOEFL and the IELTS exam. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.